Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. If you haven't already, please make sure you like, comment and share the vids, and of course subscribe. Thank you very much. And you know what, if you are not feeling particularly good in these times because of lockdown, especially in the UK, the new lockdown being announced, make sure you do speak to someone. It's not a great time to, be alone and not talk to or meet anyone. And I know even myself, who I'm a pretty chirpy and optimistic guy, as you can probably tell, I can get a little bit down in these times when it's not great and you can't do much. So yeah, okay, let's go straight into some boxing news then. In the UK, as I've said on one of my previous videos, no boxing in January, but hopefully starting again in February. But there's a little bit of chirp going on across the pond. So Manny Pacquiao, the 42-year-old, has said that he's confident in beating Errol Spence because he thinks that Keith Thurman is too slow. And he's slower than Thurman, but it'll be a good fight. And Sean Gibbons, the president of MP Promotions, no idea who that is. Is that the promotional company that now Pacquiao's with? Maybe. He says, I think Spence lost a step from the accident. It's a difficult fight, but I think, yes, Pacquiao will beat Spence. Apparently, there's the same rumours swirling around that Mcgregor has been calling for a fight with Pacquiao, and Pacquiao apparently has agreed to it after Conor McGregor fights Dustin Poirier, or Pierre. Yeah, I think it's Poirier. That's how you say it. So he said, Spence and McGregor are my options, but right now I want to experience fighting an MMA, mixed martial artist. I'll also donate a big portion of my income to Filipino COVID-19 victims. Okay, so basically, he's said that he thinks he can beat Errol Spence, and by putting him down, and to be honest with you, Pacquiao can do whatever he wants because he's fought flipping everyone, let's be honest. I don't think he's scared of anyone, but he's put Errol Spence down so that he can say, well, I can fight him whenever, and he's opened the door to the Conor McGregor fight. So that fight will probably most definitely happen. And I said this before, no interest in it whatsoever. WBC president, if McGregor beats ranked contender, he can get a title shot. WBC is becoming a joke. So basically he'll get special compensation because he's a big name. The WBC will probably make a belt for him anyway, as the MMA boxing crossover champion. It's just a joke. How stupid is that? Let's move on because I don't want to discuss about that. Yeah, we've gone over this. Boxing match is inevitable, says Pacquiao and McGregor's manager. They've got the same management company now, so that's why. Reynoso and Ryan Garcia, nobody will underestimate him again. I don't think... I think they will. Maybe. Teofimo Lopez thinks that he's got the beating of him, and rightly so. He's the number one in the division. Interesting, actually, I saw an interview with Teofimo Lopez, and he said that he only sees himself being at 135 for maybe the rest of the year, so probably 2 fights, and then moving up to 140. That makes sense. Anything else? Apparently, no ESPN fights to show in March, but 2 in April and 8 or 9 in May to July, says Bob Arum. But he's been known to be loose with the truth, Bob Arum. So, but that's fine. Probably because of COVID again. Haney is world's best lightweight, but has to prove it. He needs a breakout bout. Yep, 100%. Hopefully he fights Ryan Garcia. If he doesn't, I think Teofimo Lopez has said he's open to it. Although in some interviews he's saying, like Devin Haney, just making fun of him, basically saying he's not a loser, but he's desperate and he's the bottom of the pile, etc. In terms of these top fighters, the 5 that we all know in that 135 division. But then he said, actually, yeah, if I don't fight Kambosos, I'll fight Devin Haney. So I don't know. Which I think the reason why that Kambosos mandatory fight in Australia is in doubt is because even though Australia was largely COVID-free, so if you guys have seen any of my cricket videos, Australian played against India in Australia, and there were crowds. But there were then concerns because in certain places like Brisbane and Sydney, there's been outbreaks, which is not great, obviously. I don't know. It's a very, very weird one, to be honest with you. And hopefully, I would, personally, what do I want to see? What do I want to see? I want to see the big, big fights. And the big fights are Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney. Sorry, because Teofimo Lopez is number one. Kambosos is an exciting fighter. Beat Lee Selby on a Matchroom show, actually, in a close fight. But that, for me, is not priority. And I'd rather see the Devin Haney fight first. So, to be honest with you, if that happens, great. If Ryan Garcia versus Tank, you know what? If those two fights happen this year, I'm a happy bunny. Okay, Warrington versus Zhu and Avanesian Kelly to be among Matchroom February fights. Yep. So obviously, Josh Kelly versus Avanesian was supposed to be January 30th, I think it was. They also had Ryland Charlton versus Florian Marco on the undercard, which I was really, really intrigued about, but both being rescheduled. And now they're saying probably, February, that's fine. Warrington Zhu was supposed to be in Headingley last year in June, but because of COVID, obviously, it's been moved back a number of times, or just once even, but just postponed for now. But Eddie Hearn's saying that there's a series of cards just kind of stretching to April, which he's hoping to announce very soon. I think it could be the next couple of days, I'm assuming, between Povetkin and Dylan White, Lawrence Okoli versus Glowacki, which is that WBO cruiserweight title, then also Warrington versus Zhu, which the deal hasn't quite been sealed by the sounds of it. And, well, that's interesting. So Santa Cruz fought Gervonta Davis, right? And obviously he fought him at 130, so he moved up. And Santa Cruz held the WBA super title at 126, which is Warrington's division and Zhu's division. But, so Kanju was expecting to be elevated because, Santa Cruz hasn't fought for the title since February 2019, which is now nearly a year. And it seems like Santa Cruz is going to stay at 130 because, well, that's what Hearn's saying. He's saying he'll never box at 126 again, in my opinion. I don't know, it depends. Obviously, it's his right as champion. If he's going to fight 126 again, then he can do whatever he wants. But if he's not, then he shouldn't just hold on to the belt. They need to make a decision pretty quick on that because it does put other fighters on hold. So I think either way, let's see. But hopefully it gets resolved. I would like to see Santa Cruz at 130. Why not? I mean, Gervonta Davis is a beast, so he can fight anyone else. And maybe he can win a world title potentially there. I think he's a very, very good fighter. And let's not put any disrespect on his name. He's quality. Okay. Okay, so apart from that, and obviously they're going to announce the David Avanesian versus Josh Kelly fight, which I tell you what, don't sleep on that fight, because David Avanesian is no pushover, and a lot of people are actually saying they think he'd beat Josh Kelly, which would scupper plans for a really big, big fight of Josh Kelly versus Conor Benn in the summer potentially. So, and when I mean big fight, I mean for that division domestically. I'm talking about. I'm not talking about world level or pay-per-view. If they put on pay-per-view, they shouldn't. Hopefully not. I think there's not too much here, to be honest with you. So Eubank Jr. signed with the Sauerlands brothers. This is bizarre because he had signed, I think he's been with Frank Warren, he's been with Eddie Hearn, he's been with, I'm pretty sure he's been with Sauerlands before in the World Boxing Super Series, and now he was with PBC, so with Al Heyman, hoping that he could get that Charlo fight. Didn't happen, didn't materialise. Now he's come back to Sauerlands. I don't know who Sauerlands has, but they're pretty open to work with pretty much anyone, the Sauerlands, to be fair. I don't know. Can he win a world title? Yes. Does it need to be the right person? Yes. He's a limited fighter, but a skilled fighter. A skilled but limited fighter, I would call Eubank Jr. He's training with Roy Jones Jr. If Roy Jones Jr. is even half the coach that he was a trainer, even if he is a third of the coach that he was a fighter, Eubank Jr. will improve. And yeah, so I'm sure, hopefully, let's say, hopefully he can do something. Hopefully he can show improvements, because I watched a couple of videos on some other channels, and there's some really good analysis actually on him. I've forgotten the channel's name. I want to give them credit for it. But basically he was saying that Eubank Jr. was... So his jab has improved. But what he does is he doesn't throw it. So apparently Lennox Lewis was talking to Eubank Jr. And so in mid-distance, when he wants to stay in the pocket and get those shots off, so he'll throw a couple of combinations, etc. And then rather than go out and then kind of retract your jab, back away, and then throw it, so you lose power and you're kind of backing off while you're hitting it, he was saying that what you can do is you can kind of pivot, get that torque, and you don't even have to go up with a hook. You can just, it can just be a very, like, it can be a short, almost half extended jab from the hip, and that can keep you in the pocket because it then throws your opponent off balance, and then you can again work on the inside. That was a really interesting technical point actually, which again I need to give the person credit, and I've completely forgotten the name of the channel, so apologies. Hopefully in the next video or later on in this one I can do. BJ Saunders saying he doesn't rate Eubank Jr. There's back and forth. That'll be a big fight if it ever does happen again, just because of the animosity between the two, and it was a close fight. The first one because BJ just gassed out, to be honest, after the first half of the fight. And Inoue, Takuma Inoue, so Inoue's brother, interesting, wants to fight for a world title, fair enough. And Spike O'Sullivan would love to become Oscar De La Hoya's comeback for... It's just crap, isn't it? It's rubbish. Team Charr. So Manuel Charr, I don't want to give this much airtime. Manuel Charr awaits a travel visa for a planned secondary WBA heavyweight title defense versus Trevor Bryan, because Trevor Bryan is mandatory for that regular belt that Manuel Charr has had hostage or held hostage for such a long time, and I don't think he's fought in a couple of years. He hasn't fought since November 2017. November 2017. Are you out of your mind? That's over 3 years. What the hell is he? I know he failed a drug test and stuff, but no, that's just a joke. How have they not stripped him of it? Anyway, what a joke. Either way, I can't take him seriously whatsoever. Anyway, thank you very much, guys, for watching. And if you haven't already, please make sure you like, comment, and share the vids. Please give your opinions in the comments below if you don't agree with some of my thoughts. If you do, again, leave your comments. Let me know what you guys think of the news that, well, there's a couple of bits, aren't there? I think Eubank Jr. getting a new promotional contract is interesting to see where he goes. There's also the Devin Haney, the 135 division. There's a lot of news floating around that to see who's going to fight who, and hopefully we are going to see a couple of those fights where they do fight each other and they don't fight others. There's a lot to take in right now. There's hopefully going to be announced Matchroom schedule with some big fights on there. So Dillian Whyte versus Povetkin, or Povetkin Dillian Whyte 2. You know, a couple of those fights. Also Lawrence Okoli getting his world title shot against Glowacki as well. So some big fights to look forward to, fingers crossed. And with boxing back in February, again, fingers crossed, in the UK, some things to look forward to. Okay, thank you very much, guys, for watching, and I will speak to you guys soon. Stay safe. Thank you very much.